Alrighty, tubers, tubettes, and of course crazy people. Title of this video is going to be something to the effect of we're burning through cash this month. What the hell does that mean? Well, it's primarily about medical issues. So I'm going to do a little follow-up on the previous video that I did, and that leads directly into this video and why I am burning through cash like no one's business this month. Okay, here comes the video. Alrighty then, why am I burning through cash this month? Well, this video kind of ties into, or in fact, it exactly ties into the last video that I released, which spoke about me getting cataract surgery. And not to relive the entire video for you, but through that video, I was trying to explore my options. Should I do it in the Philippines? Should I go back home and do it? Long story short is I found a doctor here that I'm totally confident with, and I got a breakdown of the price and of depending on what kind of lens that I get, and I was all cool with that. It's about $1,300 to do the surgery. That is not me burning through cash because I allocated that. The day that we got the number, I said, okay, we're going to have to move over this much more money to take care of this issue. Thank God we've been good with our money, and we've been stacking it away like squirrels putting away nuts. And so what I did not expect was when I was at the last phase of making the appointment, they said, oh, and by the way, before you get the surgery, you're going to need to get a physical clearance from your primary physician. She's going to have to sign off that you're healthy enough to take the local anesthesia and the 15-minute surgery that we're going to do on your eye. And I said, okay, fair enough. It's as usual, it's always one more thing that you find out at the last minute. So I did just that. I went with my wife right after them, and I went down to the hospital where my physician has been for the last 6 years, who I've seen for the last 6 years, a lady I really like, a lady that May really likes. Went in to see her, and I was figuring, oh, this is going to be easy peasy. She's going to check my heart. She'll take my temperature. She'll check my blood pressure. She'll listen to my chest. She'll make me breathe in and out. She'll make me do this. She'll make me do that. And then she'll say, yeah, you're fine, and sign off. Au contraire, mon frere. It was much more complicated than that. She said, you need to have a complete physical. That means X-ray, EKG, and complete blood work and urine analysis. Okay, awesome. I will not relive the day for you, but I will just summarize it by saying we started this endeavor at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we got done at 8 o'clock at night. It was much more involved than I ever imagined. If there was a concern that I had, it was of all these aforementioned tests, it was the ones, because I smoke, as I've discussed in the previous video, and yes, there were a lot of comments about that, and I'm going to address those comments in a few minutes. The concerns were, for me, was the chest x-ray, or the EKG, or my blood sugar being too high, because I've heard that high blood sugar will nix this operation. I know that from a friend who spent over a year trying to get his blood sugar down just so that he can get the surgery, and he damn near went blind waiting. But I digress. Of all the things that I thought might be wrong with me, I got a clean bill of health. The chest x-ray came back and said, you know what, for a man his age, lungs look fine. Possible onset emphysema doesn't surprise me. Been smoking for 50 years, and I know already you're writing the comment, Paul, you need to stop smoking, to add to the other 500 comments that have said, Paul, you need to stop smoking. But I know you say it with love. Anyway, And I want to get to that in a little bit. So, of all the tests that they did, the ones that I had the concern about came up perfect. I mean, my oxygen level, I was like, thinking, oh, this might be bad. I go, how's my oxygen? The guy says, great. You're right where you're supposed to be. How's my heart rate? Oh, it's an 81. I said, what's it supposed to be? He says, anywhere between 80 and 110 or something like that. I said, so it's good? He goes, yeah, it's just fine. How's this? I was worried about lungs. I was worried about heart, worried about all this kind of stuff. But I have a bigger problem than that. I have this weird disorder that they discovered, which is I have really super thick blood. And I got the little report here, and I'm not going to bore you with it, but it's hard for me to say, but it's hematocrit is a 64.7. It should be between 41 and 53. Not good. Hemoglobin, 21.6. Supposed to be between 13.5 and 17.5. Not good. RBC, 6.7. Should be between 4.7 and 6.0. So whatever the hell RBC is, I have no clue. That's the least of the two. And so I was referred to a specialist at another hospital. That's why we were from 9 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. So May and I went down. We cooled our heels. We were fortunate that she was in her office. My primary physician referred her and also texted her that we were coming. She never got a reply while we were there. And I already know the drill. Let's just go, because either they're there or they're not. The worst case scenario is they're not there and we make an appointment for as soon as possible, because I want to get stuff done now. And I'm also on a timeline. I got 12 days to get this approval to have this cataract surgery. We are fortunate enough, we only had to cool our heels for about an hour because we didn't have an appointment. That's fine. There were other customers, or clients rather, patients is the words I'm looking for before me. We went in to meet the blood specialist, and she was giving me all kinds of, just kind of interrogating me a little bit. And of course, she said, well, you need to quit smoking. I understand that. It's the 14th time I've been told that today. And you need to drink more water. That's very important. I said, okay. I said, so what do we do about this blood thing? I mean, it's so thick. What causes that? And she didn't really have a concise answer as to what causes it, other than it is part of getting older, and sometimes it's related to DNA and hereditary. But I've never heard of this being in my family. So what she did was she said, okay, you're going to need to go and have I'm going to have you get a bunch of blood drained out of your body, and we're just going to throw it away. In other words, we're just going to empty your fuel tank a little bit of all this red, because I got too many red blood cells. So they're just going to basically drain me of a bunch of blood. Big bag. I forget the size. I wish I knew the size to tell you. But if you can picture a bag that usually hangs by someone that's hooked up, with a catheter, I don't want to go there, but that size minimum was filled with blood, and it took 30 minutes to drain it out of me. And that was just to thin me down a little bit. And then she prescribed 2 different drugs. One I take twice a day, one I take one a day. One's for gout, and another one is something for leukemia. But she didn't say you have cancer, but I was reading up on the drug and what are the components of what this drug does. It has a tendency to thin down the red platelets. Okay, so today is Sunday, and that was Friday. So tomorrow, Monday, we have to go to yet another hospital, and I am going to have to get a bone marrow sample pulled, And then another test that, for the life of me, I don't know what it is, and neither does my wife. We were having a little problem with the specialist. My wife and I weren't crazy about her attitude or her demeanor, but all right, let's not let that get in the way. Bedside manners maybe not the best, but she was a little preachy, and then she was real quick to let me know that, by the way, this test is going to cost you approximately 20 some odd thousand pesos, which is, in round numbers, close to $400. And this other test is going to run 15,000 pesos, which is $300, round numbers, a little less because of the exchange rate, but just round numbers. So I figure I'm into this thing $650 right there. We spent, with them draining the blood and picking up all the prescriptions that they wrote, we spent already about $215 on just drugs. They are not really cheap over here, especially the ones that prescribe to me. And so, anyway, so I says, man, we're going to be into this thing. We're going to be into this thing financially, and that's not my concern, but I thought I wanted to share it with you. There's an ulterior motive I have in this video. I wanted to share it with you because it seems to me that by the time we get done with this rodeo, the cost of just the diagnosis and the possible treatment of this blood thickening issue that I'm having is going to be almost the same as the surgery for the eye itself. And so here's the moral of the story. Number one, I'm super happy that I'm not super happy that I have this condition. I'm super happy that it was discovered. And she asked me, when's the last time you had a checkup? I said, 2 years ago in Thailand. And she goes, well, did they check your blood and all this kind of stuff? I said, no. I said, well, yeah, they did. And she goes, do you have the report? I said, no, it's 2 years old. It's at home. It's one of the things I didn't like about it. Like I was just going to pull it out of my ass or something and say, oh, yeah, here you go. Anyway, promised her that I would bring it by on Monday. But we have to go to another hospital. None of these hospitals are going to get named because I have different opinions of all three of them, and I don't want to inject that into my little world here in the Philippines. Opinions are like, you know what. Anyway, here is the moral of the story, is number one, I have always felt that God has had my back. And I know that 2 years ago, I got a clean bill of health in Thailand at Bangkok Hospital. Yeah, I had a little bone density loss. Yes, I had low T. Yes, they discovered the cataracts, which I didn't know about. That came as the biggest surprise. They found some other little nicky-nacky things wrong with me, but nothing to get too excited about. And I was a little overweight, and they told me to, cut back and try to lose a few pounds, which was sage advice. And so we're going to grab that report, and he's already located it. We're going to take it back to the doctor. But I feel that, it's like the door may have gotten closed on this surgery for now, because if we don't get this thing rectified, I'm not going to get the approval, and it's not going to happen. However, where I feel empowered to some degree is that I may not get in 12 days in October to get this one done because of this pre-existing condition that I didn't know I had. But I have a second appointment next month in November to do this eye. So if she won't sign off on this thing, and I don't expect her to if she can't do it in good conscience, then I'm just going to say, hey, boys and girls, can't do this eye this month. I'll tell them exactly what I'm telling you. But I want to keep my appointment for November because possibly by then we can get it under control. My goal, my hope, my aspiration is that I do indeed, now that I'm taking this medicine that she gave me, now that I've had, I don't know, a gallon of blood taken out of me, I'm going to go in and have this bone marrow test. God knows if they can do that here or if they're going to have to send it to Manila. You never know. And then some other test, some mystery test that man I can't figure out. And the other moral of the story here is financial readiness in the event of something happening. This is far, 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 far from catastrophic. We're not talking big, big numbers here. We're talking about $1,300 for the surgery, which we budgeted for. I wouldn't, and I'm going to just call it another $1,300 for grins. I'll have an exact number at some point in time that I'll do a follow-up video on this video, which is a follow-up from the previous video. And I'm not going to turn this into a series, I hope, but I figured it was fair because if you're at home watching this thing, it might be of interest to you about, healthcare, medical costs, procedures, the patience that you have to have. I don't mean being a patient, I mean having patience. To go from 9 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, that also involved going back and forth to 2 hospitals 4 times. 2 times to this one, 2 times to that one, because we had to be our own courier service with all these reports and stuff to one doctor to the other. And so that, and just knowing, I take respite in the fact that my wife and I have been so careful with our money. I know folks that are going on vacations, and I'm not saying they shouldn't. They're going here, they're going there. I know them personally. I know that some of the things that they're doing is probably pushing the envelope a little bit. I'm just a firm believer that you need to have a real solid amount of money that you're comfortable with in the bank that you can spend right here, right now. Not only do you have it, but it's accessible to you. You can grab it at a moment's notice. And that's something that I've preached and others have preached on their channels. I've heard it over and over again. And so I guess I don't want to preach to you. I just want to tell you that that's what I have done, and that's what I'm glad that I did it, and I hope anybody watching this takes heed and says, you know what, for me to come over there on a wing and a prayer with only X amount of dollars in the bank, and I hope I make it, I wish you luck. I know way too many guys that have come over here just like that, and are they screwed? I'm sorry to say. They are really under the gun, and they don't have the luxury of having the money to just go in and make it happen. They've got to go through other avenues, borrowing money or calling friends and family, doing this, doing that, and kind of being a drain on other people, when in fact just a little bit of planning, a little bit of social and economic, what's the word? Oh, God, I hate it when this happens to me. See, part of the problem is the brain goes, responsibility is the word. And so just be selfish. Think about yourself. Now, let's get on to smoking. I had a bunch of people in the last video because I came out and said I smoke. Between you, me, and a fence post, I know a number of people that you watch online that also smoke that have never told you that and have kept it a secret from you. But, I'm not one of them rats. Okay? I'm not a snitch. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I know who they are. And you know what? The reason I came out and said it, and have said it all the time, is because I think that if I tell the truth, I don't ever have to think about what I said in my last video. So what about smoking cessation? Am I going to quit? Well, I had, I don't know how many comments in the last video and previous videos where I've mentioned that. where people have said, you need to quit smoking, Paul. If you do this and you do that, you'll feel better and blah, 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 blah. Now, I might piss a few people off with this next statement, and that's okay, because again, I would rather just be truthful with you than tell you what I think you want to hear. I just want to speak from my heart. Number one, when people say that to me, you should quit smoking. If you loved your wife, you'd quit smoking. If you wanted to live a long life, you'd quit smoking. If you did this, if you did that, if you want this, if you want that, you should quit smoking. Number one, I want to say that I recognize that's said with love. That's people that are concerned, but they don't really understand. The greatest comment that came through, which resonated with me, and it was the comment that I was waiting for, and I'm so sorry I don't remember the name of the person that made the comment. He said, Paul's going to quit smoking when Paul wants to quit smoking. True words, never spoken. An alcoholic, a drug addict, someone with a gambling addiction. You can be put in, because I know from personal experience with people that I have, or my family and friends, they've been convicted of like a DUI, and the first thing they do, if you didn't kill anybody or hurt anybody, but you got popped for drinking or using or both under the influence, what the courts generally do, at least in the States where I was from, is they fine you big time. Now, the lawyer ain't cheap, so economically you take a pretty strong hit for that DUI. You could lose your job. In fact, in my business that I was in, I would have lost my job if I'd been convicted of a DUI. But they'll do a lot of times is knock it down to a reckless driving, and then guess where you have to go? Rehab. They'll say, okay, sometimes it's community service, but other times it's rehab. I've never heard of someone that's been forced to go to rehab come skipping out and was actually rehabilitated. But I have known people that have checked themselves into rehab. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired, no matter what it is. Drinking, gambling, using, porn, sex addiction. The litany goes on and on. I have made the conscious decision to quit smoking. And just to prove it to you, I've quit before. I quit back in 2010 because cigarettes were getting to be so expensive. I made a decision. I said, you know what? This just financially is not working. I didn't have enough money at the time. It was one of those low points. And I went out and I bought this. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's lozenges. The interesting thing is, 2 weeks after I quit smoking in 2010, I had a full-blown heart attack. Got me into the hospital, got me out, and for some reason I associated that heart attack with having quit smoking. I thought, well, maybe that triggered it. And I picked the habit back up again. So I just talked to my neighbor today. He said, Paul, I quit for 25 years, and then 3.5 years later, I picked it back up again myself. He said, but he's now a non-smoker. So the question is not a matter of if on these lozenges that I've got. It's a matter of when. And I can tell you, I have another surefire way to quit smoking, a mental game that I played back in 2010. But I'm going to save that for another video. For my members, when I do quit smoking, I'm going to put together a day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way to 30 days on the smoking cessation. And it's just going to be a 1-minute clip on day 1, 30 seconds, day 2, 3, 4, 5, you get the drift, till it adds up to 10 or 11 minutes. And then I'll roll that out on members only at some point in time. Be at least a month, because I just said it's going to be a 30-day thing. This will be outside sitting next to my cigarettes tomorrow. And I'm going to have a choice. Which door do I choose? Do I take the cigarettes or do I take the lozenge? I might not take the lozenge. I honestly don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do until tomorrow comes. But I do know that this being out there, the fact that I went in and dug it out of my medicine cabinet, I've been carrying these around since I got here because I wanted to quit smoking since I got here. The big problem was cigarettes were only $1 a pack, and I said, hey, what the hell? So, that's the update. I'm burning through cash. I'm prepared to pay it, thank God. I'm in a position to where I can. It's not an obscene amount of money. It's not like I got to cough up $25,000 or something. It's an extra $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. I had already budgeted for the surgery. I hadn't budgeted for this issue. I would hope that you guys would at least think good thoughts about the outcome. I'm afraid that this whole friggin' surgery thing, which I did not intend it to do, is going to turn into a small mini-series. I got the feeling that the next video that I do is going to be a follow-up yet again on this one. And I know part ones, part twos, and part threes are not the most popular, but I'm not on here today to be popular. I'm here to just tell the truth, speak my heart, and for those that listen and are interested, I hope that it gave some information, some insight, and education. That's what we're here to do. I don't need to be the biggest. I don't need to be the fastest. I don't need to be the best. I just want to remain true to myself. All right, kids. I'll see you in the next video.